right.
I talked to her today. She was at the handball nationals. Yeah, she got 4th place. It was in Alberta. Apparently,
Cool.
from what I heard, Alberta guys are good looking. So
She won't show up to those that. It's so annoying.
really,
She has a boyfriend.
All right. How would you solve this one old school? I'd probably subtract. Subtract this equation from that equation. And you get negative y equals 9.
yes.
So y is equal to negative 9. And now that I've got y is equal to negative 9, x is equal to negative 5. Does that work? Yep, it does. So since we have a very good way of solving this, we will learn another way now that you won't like as much. Using matrices. You could set up the following system of equation by making a coefficient matrix, then your variable matrix. Notice that if I took this matrix times this matrix, this is a 2 by 2, this is a 2 by 1. The middle numbers are the same. And if you multiplied them out, you would get a 2 by 1, and it would look like this. 4 times x would be 4x plus negative 2y, which would just be minus 2y. And the next one would be 4 times x. Negative 1 times y would be minus y. And that would be the matrix if you multiplied those together. And apparently that's equal to another column matrix, which is negative 2, negative 11, which is just the equation that we had started with. So if you take the coefficients and multiply them by xy, you get a new matrix. So what we can say to this is if we call our coefficient matrix A, this matrix X, and the answer B, if we multiply by the inverse, multiplying by the inverse gives you 1, and anything times 1 as a property of matrix is itself, then we can figure out what X is by multiplying both sides by the inverse. Because this will equal 1. This is on your next page, but I just like to write it out. This is equal to 1. And then you find out what x is, and you'll have an answer that'll just be x. And it should work out to be the negative 9 and negative 5 that we saw before. Of course, to get the inverse is a lot more work. And then to multiply matrices is a lot more work than actually solving it using the old way. But if we get to a point where we can use a calculator, then if you have a 3 by 3 or a 4 by 4 system, this will be quicker. So on a calculator part, this kind of stuff will be quicker than if it was non-calculator. But if it was non-calculator, you'd go back to your old way of solving a system of equations. Some key things here. Remember how matrices, it does matter the order that you multiply. A times B is not the same as B times A. So the only way, if I have A times X, to cancel out A with an A inverse is to put it in front. Because if I put it in behind, I'd have A times X times A inverse. And I wouldn't be able to rearrange things. So they both have to be on the same. If I put it in the front there, I've got to put it in the front here. So that is a key for solving this. So, do I have the same question? This is the same question. We're going to solve it with matrices. We're going to make our matrix A 4, negative 2, 4, negative 1. Then we've got our matrix xy equals negative 2, negative 11. Let's figure out what A inverse is. Off to the side. A inverse, we calculate our determinant. This will be negative 4. This will be negative 8. Negative 4 minus the negative 8 will be 4. So our determinant is 4. So our inverse will be 1/4 switch these two, make those ones negative. There is our A inverse. So just to keep this simpler, I'm going to call this A, this X, this B. So we had A times X equals B. And if I put A inverse in front of both sides, A inverse times A is just the identity matrix. And any matrix times the identity matrix is itself. So this side will just become X. And on this side, we'll have A inverse, which is 1/4, -1, -4, 2, 4, multiplied by B, which was -2, -11. I'm going to leave that fraction out front right till the end, because that'll make life a lot easier. Multiply this row by this column, and you get -20. Multiply that row by that column, 8, -36. Multiply them by 1/4. And at this point you say, thank you, Mr. JR. I really like the other way a lot better. It's not too bad. Yeah. So the inverse of A, according to the formula, is 1 over the determinant of A. Then if your original one looked like this is what happens. These two get switched. And then we add a negative in front of those ones. So that's what I did. I took the 4 and the -1 and I switched them. And then I added a negative in front of -2 becomes 2. And a negative in front of -4 becomes, or sorry, a negative in front of 4 becomes -4. It will work. You can multiply the quarter inside. That's fine. It just means that you're dealing with fractions early. So when I multiplied later on, I wanted to multiply things without fractions and then do the fraction right at the end to make it easier. Okay. Try this one on your own.